Yes, and how do you shift out of it? And number one is I should put it right, start addressing the physical. So anyone who obviously signs up for this gets the bonus of Renew, which is like my 4-week nutrition program. So that's a great place to start. And also we deal with particularly what you need to do when you've been in a stress response for a long time, and or you're burnt out. There are certain things that you kind of need to do to take into consideration that your digestion is not working properly, and you need certain like you need to eat a certain way because your body is actually stressed at the moment and it needs more nutrients, and you need to reassess the way you're moving and your exercise because it may not it actually might be working against you to recover. So there's your way of maintaining your health, when you're healthy, which is in Renew, which is just to get you um when you're slightly out of balance. And then there's things like deep nutrition, stuff like that, that when you are quite dysregulated for a long time, there's a few extra things that you should take into consideration. Um, Reconnecting to your body, getting to know your emotions, processing them, and your feelings and sensations in your body, getting to know those. And like I said, rewiring kind of thoughts and perspectives of the past, being able to reframe so that you can choose a different response. So there's emotions and energy stuck in the body, being able to work through that as and when they come up, and healing the, the nervous system. And like I said, taking into cortisol and adrenals. So this was taken from yesterday's one, but it should have been probably here. Um, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but where you can start with regulating your nervous system. So we basically want to tone or what's like activate the vagus nerve. If you've been in a stress response for a long time and you're stuck in one of the other um, states, or fight or flight, freeze or collapse, then you will want to activate your vagus nerve so that you start coming more into that ventro-vagal, or that social connected calm space. And you can do that with breath work, meditation, prayer, spending more time in nature, like low intensity movement, vagus nerve stimulation. So daily like humming, singing, because of course when you're humming and singing, okay, it tones like your vagus nerve, but also when you think about it, when you're doing those things, you're not going to be humming and singing if there's like a lion after you. So doing things that you normally do when you feel like safe, and you're happy and you're playful, um, making your body do those things, because again, state comes before story. So when you start doing things that you would normally do when you're happy and connected and in a flow state, then your thoughts will start to reflect that, and the rest of your body will start to reflect that. So being in mind, it's like your state. Like if I'm hunched over like this and I'm like, you know, frowning, and things like that, I'm going to get like those sad thoughts. I'm going to get negative thoughts because this is the way my body memorizes this as like this is a posture that you would have when you're down, when you're depressed. It's just like low, no energy. Whereas if you can move your body in the mornings, if you wake up and you're not in a great place, you need to change your state, and you need to change. You can start with like your body. Okay, you start with your physical, like move. If you're feeling good, your shoulders are back. Um, you relax your muscles. So you can do like a meditation and kind of actively relax your muscles. You can do some vagus nerve stimulation, something to bring the body into the parasympathetic response, which is that rest and digest and calm response. Um, and watch your thoughts. Like you'll automatically start thinking better thoughts. So yeah, being aware of like your body and what it's doing. And I go more into this again in Revive. It's hard to cover it all today because you're coming up like an hour and a half now. Um, yes, rewiring your thoughts as well, because yeah, if you're constantly just going back to like past experiences and your negative way of thinking, then that is also going to affect like your healing. Then your body will never feel safe. And then just doing things you actually like, reconnecting with those activities that bring you joy. And like I said, the first thing, Deb Dana, she based off Dr. Stephen Porges' work on the polyvagal theory. She also has another book. But the first stage, like I said, in getting to know your nervous system is getting to know your nervous system. Is like we've talked about some of those states today. So just have a think about um, where do you spend your most time? Like what when you're in each of these states. Number one, what is your body doing? Like your heart rate, your breathing, are all your muscles tense? What thoughts do you think in that state? And you'll see that this is really repetitive when you think that you're a negative person or you think you're just a sad or depressed person. It's not. It's what's going on in your body is kind of those thoughts will come up in your brain because it, like I said, your nervous system scans past experiences and then it keeps bringing those thoughts up. Your triggers as well. So things that make you feel then pay attention to the things that made you feel that way. What was your trigger? And in Revive, we can pick these more apart and look into them more, especially like limiting beliefs or like the way we perceive the situation, like learning that if somebody triggers you, it's less about them and it's more about why is that triggering your nervous system? What happened in your past, or what are you making it mean if they did something and that triggered you? And basically, the whole point of Revive, in one way, is to expand what's called your window of tolerance. So, Dr. Dan Siegel made, which basically is kind of like that nervous system ladder. um, yes, and if you were in freeze up here and you're way out of your like basically out of your bandwidth, out of your comfort zone, out of your window of tolerance, we have a certain window where we can handle um stressful situations. And that's our window of tolerance. So it's and people who are really dysregulated, this is very um, small. So little things can when everything's overwhelming, little things just send you over the edge. Or like when I was like burnt out, and when you're in dorso-vagal or that like collapse response, like everything was hard. Cleaning the dishes, making Ava's lunch, like getting dressed, like everything seemed so hard. It was just all outside my window of tolerance because my bandwidth was nothing. I had nothing left to give. I was in collapse. I was in shutdown. Um, Whereas now, because I've worked on that so much, like my window of tolerance is probably bigger than it was before I even got sick. Because before that, I didn't even know about all of this or what I could do or what to do to manage the stress to this extent. But basically, you reach your window of tolerance when you actually start going into like fear, panic, anxiety, rage. You're outside your window of tolerance, or you're in depression, numbness, shame, shutdown, things like that. But sometimes when we don't know how to process our emotions, we don't know what are going on, we'll start to go outside our window of tolerance. And this is where our unhelpful coping mechanisms can come in. That's where you'll start scrolling and things like that, or like overeating, like going to the fridge and just like numbing out by eating. Or some people will be drinking and things like that when they're outside their window of tolerance. And they do these to shut down those other emotions that they don't want to feel. But actually, that's just keeping them trapped and keeping you dysregulated. So you actually need to stop doing the numbing things and start tuning into your body and like feeling what needs to be felt and letting that pass, and doing things to bring yourself back into regulation. Basically, to build your window of tolerance, firstly, you have to come a bit back into balance. Like if you're stuck, need to make your nervous system more flexible again. So, like I said, that's by starting with the physical and kind of learning about your nervous system and things like that can get you into a bit more, it like get you out of like this chronic being stuck in one of those states. And once you kind of get out of it a little bit, you have a bit more bandwidth to start actually building your capacity to expand your window of tolerance, so that you don't have to be so, things like be so like conscientious about always burning out, or that everything's overwhelming, or because that's the thing, if you burn out, a lot of people can be afraid to actually work again and do stuff, and afraid to burn out again. But we want to be able to expand our willow window of tolerance, because we actually want to grow as people. Like we've got goals and dreams, and to get and we want like a certain body and health, and to reach those things you have to actually get outside your comfort zone a bit, but you do it by titration, by doing it a little bit at a time, drop by drop. And as you do that, you build your resilience. But it's in a way that you go outside your, you know, uh, this is kind of like training for something. Say you were going to do a marathon, you don't try and jump in an ice, and that's to say, if you're in shutdown, you don't jump in an ice bath straight away. And the same if you're going to run a marathon, you don't go out and run the full marathon straight away. Like you train for it little by little, little by little. And if you go too much too soon, then what happens? You get injured or something. You get, and you're set back. Same with your nervous system. If you go too hard too soon, then it'll put you back into um, like one of the undesirable states. It'll get you stuck again. So it's really important to take it really slowly, and you do that by like learning about it and learning what's involved. Um, yeah. So I think window tolerance is the same of why you would regulate your nervous system so that you can be more emotionally balanced. You can deal with more stress without being overwhelmed or shutting down or being reactive. You've got more resilience and you recover quickly. You just have better connection with people. You have healthier relationships. You can just communicate better. You can understand them better. You can like give more from a place of not trying to prove yourself or not trying to make others happy at your own expense. Um, you can develop unhelpful mechanisms when you reach your window of tolerance. So just pay attention to if you're doing any of those things, like if you're eating things that you don't want to be eating or doing things that you don't want to do. Another unhelpful thing is probably like skipping meals and things like that. That gives people sometimes like a sense of control or something. Um, if you know that you're not healthy and you should be eating better, and then you're either eating like processed foods or sugary foods or relying on coffee or just like skipping meals as well. These are all things that you can do. Obviously in Revive I go through like a whole framework with you, and it's not going to be the same for exactly everyone, but you can use things like mindfulness, meditation, somatic exercises. Like I said, more activating your vagus nerve and making your body feel safe with somatic exercises. Basically, is the body up approach. So to actually regulate your nervous system, you have to have the top down process and the bottom up. You have to do it both ways. This is why sometimes people go, for NLP or like mindset things, which I cover and revive. But why that doesn't work on its own is because it's a top down approach, but you're not dealing with a lot of our nervous system dysregulation is stored in the body. So it's not dealing with the body. And equally, if you just practice yoga and things like um, that will make you feel calm at the time, but it may not entirely help completely because that's just bottom up and you have to be doing both, as well as then those physical things like re-nourishing your system. um, Breath work is really good because it's something you can use anytime anywhere, and by learning breath work correctly you can use it to bring yourself into a state of calm using the breath, because the breath can, if you're feeling really anxious and stressed, you can use breathing techniques that tells the body it's actually safe. But you can also use breathwork techniques to increase your window of tolerance by actually stressing your body out just a little bit and then bringing it back into calm again. Um, Teaching your body like how to deal with stress, like physical activity. And like I said, this all depends on the state you are in. If you're burnt out and depleted, you're not going to do the same movement or physical exercise as somebody who's stuck in sympathetic. And somebody who's in sympathetic won't do the same exercises as somebody who's healthy and regulated can handle. And mindset and emotions. And you also need community and support, so you do need that social interaction. That we're humans and we need that co-regulation, and we need that compassion and understanding from other people to actually heal. We're not kind of meant to do it ourselves. So again, if you really have a think about your support at home and like let people know that you're doing this healing and that you're going to be looking after yourself more, and seek out people who can help you with that. And also, one thing about Revive is that there's going to be like a community aspect of people who understand, who are in the same position. And also, I've been through it myself. So, kind of knowing someone who knows what to expect, because that's the thing. When I was burnt out, nobody understood what was wrong with me. It was just all the conventional medicine approaches, which didn't help. It wasn't helpful. It was just not dealing with the root cause. And I had to go and learn it all myself. And it took a long time. And some of it was really frustrating. But I did get help from mentors. I did courses. And that was like invaluable in learning what I have and understanding my body and nervous system, and yeah, just feeling calmer. I hope you can see like why it's so important, and hopefully you understand like why you may think the thoughts you think, or why you feel how you do, or why your health is in a certain condition if you've been living in one of these states. So for I'll post this up later and I'll talk to you the next day. So we're talking about, was it emotions next time, and emotional processing, which yeah, nervous system, like love nervous system stuff, like mind blowing when I learned about it. And also that emotional processing and emotions, for how quickly learning to do that helped me regulate. So that's definitely one to tune into. And I'll see you the next day.